Thank you, Laura. Thursday Night Football is in the books. The Dallas Cowboys took down the Washington Redskins 38-14. Dak Prescott, solid performance for him in the win. 11 of 22, 102 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Dez Bryant caught his 72nd career touchdown. That is the most touchdown receptions in Cowboys history. Alfred Morris went over the century mark for the first time as a Cowboy, a $127 on the ground and a touchdown on 27 carries. This win snaps the Cowboys' 3-game losing streak, bringing them to 6-6 on the season. Dylan, were you impressed by what we saw from the boys and by Dak, of course, with no Zeke?
Yeah, I was. This was the first win they had without Zeke. Since the Zeke suspension, this is the first time like they looked themselves. This was a bit of an ugly football game. Neither of these two teams eclipsed more than 280 total yards. But I think the difference here was the rushing yards. You had over 180 rushing yards for Dallas, getting back to the nuts and bolts of Cowboys football from the last several years where, we've gushed over this tremendous offensive line and Zeke's ability to run behind it. Well, today it wasn't Zeke, but that offensive line looked vintage Cowboys, big uglies up front, creating holes, getting push on that line of scrimmage, and moving that front of Washington back to create a lot of room for Alfred Morris. Had to feel pretty good for him. He goes way over the century mark and has a touchdown against his former team. Yep. But I think the fact that, you saw the stats. Dak. I combined Zeke and Dak. Dak only had 11 completions.
That's not great.
Nearly threw for over 100 yards. But that's all he was asked to do in this game because the rush game was really taking care of itself. It opened things up for the little bit they wanted to pass the ball. He had made a nice connection and a bit of a throwback connection to Dez Bryant, where Dez went up over the top. Very athletic catch.
Vintage Dez, for sure.
Probably going to see that on You Got Mossed coming up next weekend.
I would say so.
Next Monday, I should say. And, they didn't turn the football over, where Washington turned it over 4 times. So
yeah, that's the difference in the ball game.
That's all you really need to know.
When you look at the Cowboys, they're 6-6. Do you think they're still alive in the playoff race? Did this win keep their playoff hopes alive?
It did. I think it's going to be a long shot for. There's no way that they'd have to win out. They'd need Philly to lose out to
win
the division.
Yeah,
but
forget about
Seattle, can they catch Seattle for one of those wild card spots? I firmly believe that one of the wild card spots is going to come from the NFC South. Maybe both might come from the NFC South, depending on how that shakes it out and how much that division cannibalizes itself. But right now, as we look at it, with Seattle holding on to that second wild card spot, can Dallas catch them? I don't feel like they can, but it's still a possibility, and it was an impossibility if they lost tonight's football game. But the way they emphatically put their stamp on this home victory, as I said, the first one without Zeke in the lineup, I was impressed. And there is a little bit of some hope that their playoff chances are on life support and still alive.
Yeah, you mentioned Seattle. They are 7-4. Of course, they haven't played this week. This week just gets underway with this Thursday night game. Atlanta 7-4. You also have Carolina 8-3. So, a lot of teams that they have to jump over because they're not going to win the division to get a wild card. Plus, you have Detroit at 6-5. So if Detroit wins, they're 7-5. You know what I mean? So,
and that's why I don't think they're going to make it.
They're behind the 8 ball. I really think they're clinging to, a string. I mean, the rope is just so thin for the Cowboys.
And the rope would have been around their neck tonight if they lost the game. But, they kept hope alive a little bit. And it's funny because this Sunday, I believe, is that Philly-Seattle game.
Absolutely.
They're going to be rooting for the Eagles, really, because, like I said, their best chance of getting in is a wild card spot.
Absolutely.
They're going to be hoping their division rival Philadelphia Eagles take care of business on the road in what should be a very, very good Sunday night football game between the Seahawks and the Eagles.
Cowboys fans rooting for the Eagles.
Sports are weird.
That's something that never happens.